Time now for Media Watch. James Creedon's here. James, it was only last week that David Cameron, the UK Prime Minister, was talking about the possibility of suppressing social media and the like because rioters had used Twitter, BlackBerry Messenger to communicate and to organise where to go next to loot stuff.
Right.
We all here in the West say, it would never happen here. That's the sort of thing that happens in China. Well, it's happened again in China, hasn't it? Tell us why.
It is indeed. Let's have a look at this headline in Storyful. Protests win shutdown of Chinese chemical plant. And we have some pictures of that as well. Basically, what happened on Sunday, over 10,000 people protested, asking for the closure of a chemical plant in the northeastern city of Dalian. Now, there was a typhoon last week which broke down a dike on the coast, and there was a risk that toxic waste would spill into the city. Now, people were so angry about it, they were like, should we be fleeing this situation? No, this plant should shut down. So over 10,000 people, for the most part, kind of middle-class people, young professionals, things like that. And within 24 hours, the Chinese actually responded positively to that request, and they said that they would shut down the plant. Now, what's incredible about this is we can see on this Hong Kong-based website, Dalian protests erased from social media. What's surprising is not alone that the Chinese authorities did respond very quickly, but that, well, I suppose this is less surprising, social media were immediately censored. So people have been talking about this online. This website here called Weibo is the sort of Chinese equivalent of Twitter, and people have been posting their opinions about that. Of course, within hours, that had all been taken down. And in fact, we have a closer look at at a search that we conducted earlier today on this Weibo site with the help of Yi Song, who is one of our bookers here, a Chinese guy. And we typed in a hashtag, which is kind of a search way of searching, the city name, Dalian. And this was what we found. It said, according to local law and policy, the result could not be shown. So everything that had been said, not just about this incident, but about this town, had totally been shut down on this website. Now, that in itself, I suppose, is not terribly surprising. And if you look at the rest of, just a quick whip through some of the other media.
Is that done by Weibo, by the government? Do we know who's actually responsible for it shutting down?
Usually government censors will kind of just check out, they'll see, if things are being said about this place, and it'll be shut down. This website here is the biggest Chinese language news and entertainment portal. There's no mention of the protest at all on that website. Same on this one. This is kind of the Chinese version of Google called Baidu. You'll find mention there of websites where they talk about the government's decision to shut down this factory, but they don't say why. The fact that over 10,000 people took to the streets.
Clearly there's nothing coming out of the town at all, no dissenting voices, no one actually putting a different point of view, no one putting up the people's point of view.
For now, they can't, it seems. If they try to put something up on these websites, the kind of Chinese version of Twitter, it's immediately taken down. Now, I suppose what's worth reminding viewers about is back in February, there were the protests in all over China, in fact, that emerged out of the Arab Spring. It was sort of what they call the Jasmine Revolution version, Chinese version, and there was a massive crackdown at the time because of that. So what's interesting to, I suppose, compare and contrast is at the time there was just a clampdown on those protests in Beijing and Shanghai across the country, whereas here immediately the government capitulated to the demands of the people.
Yeah, my own experience of what the Chinese government or regime, call it what you like, does is certainly before the Beijing Olympics, I was over there on a reconnaissance mission, right, invited by the Chinese government, no less. And at the same time, the crackdown was going on in Tibet. The crackdown on the protests there. Now, anytime anything like that came on the cable TV in the hotel I was staying, which is one of the upmarket hotels in Beijing, again, paid for by the Chinese government, that was taken off air straight away. Mm-hmm. Anything that put China in the light that they didn't want to portray, it was off air completely. It went to black.
Right.
Simple as that.
But I guess, I mean, when there's there are reports rather that there's something like there were 90,000 incidents such as of some degree or other where mass participation, even if it was a petition, that took place in 2009. So these sort of incidents can't, I suppose, 100% be clamped down on by the government. So that might explain why.
But like you say, you need a real kind of uniformed clamping down in order to keep so many incidents out of the news, so many incidents away from public knowledge. So as you say, that points to the fact it must be something bigger than just a local authority clamping down, but the whole government.
Exactly. And actually, interestingly that you mentioned David Cameron earlier, on this website, Global Times, it's a Chinese government-run English language website, and they seem to have welcomed what David Cameron said last Thursday in Parliament about possibly clamping down on Twitter and shutting down social media websites at a time of protest. Advocates of an unlimited development of the internet should think twice about their original ideas.
I wonder whether David Cameron would take that as a compliment.
Probably not.
James,
probably not.
I'm afraid I need to stop you there. James Creedon with Media Watch. Thank you very much indeed. Stay with us. We're back in a few moments with all the day's news and sport, including Cesc Fabregas going back to Barcelona. Back home, they say, but leaving Arsenal. It's a mega deal, but they say he's a mega player. Stay with us.